So, in last class, we have discussed the resolution of vectors. After that, we discussed the position vector. Okay. So, position vector we have to discuss again. That is very, very important because almost every problem depends on the position vector only. Position vector. Here, suppose there is an xy plane. In xy plane, one point is here, one point P is here in the xy plane, whose coordinates are x and y. Whose coordinates are x and y. Okay. Now, at what distance this point lies from the origin? In order to know them, you have to join this point and origin. Okay. Suppose if you write this line here, this distance in vector form, then that gives the position of this particle with respect to origin. The position of this particle with respect to origin. That means at what distance this point lies from the origin. That if you express in vector form, that is called position vector of this particle with respect to origin. That's why the vector which represents the position of the particle with respect to origin. That means from the origin only we are measuring. This origin is taken as the reference plane. Okay, from this, at what distance this point lies, this particle lies, that is called, that can be represented with the position vector. So the vector which represents the position of a particle with respect to origin, that is called position vector. Okay. Suppose here, this is the position vector, say r bar. Position vector is generally represented with small r bar. Okay. Whenever this particle is at a distance, suppose what is the distance of this point from the origin means you take the modulus of this one. You take modulus of that one. Okay. Then that is the distance of this point from the origin. At the same time, whenever this particle lies in xy plane, at the same time this particle is at certain distance along x-axis also, no? So from point P onto the x-axis, you draw a perpendicular line. Then this perpendicular line intersects this x-axis at a point A. Then this OA, that distance gives the distance of this particle along x-axis. That is called x component of this position vector. X component of this position vector, that is, say, x. Similarly, at what distance this point lies along y-axis? In order to know them, you draw a perpendicular line onto y-axis. Okay, suppose this perpendicular line intersects the y-axis at B, say, then the distance between this point, this distance OB is the displacement of this particle along y-axis, which is called the y component of the position vector. Okay, here, suppose the angle made by this position vector with positive x-axis is say alpha. Angle made by this vector with positive y-axis is say beta. Okay, then here from this right angle triangle, if it is y, this is also equal to y, no? This is also equal to y. Okay, now suppose here this is the displacement position vector component along x-axis. Position vector component along x-axis means if this is the displacement of the particle from the origin, then what is the displacement of the same point along x-axis means this one. This is called the x component of this position vector. Similarly, y component of position vector. How we can write this position vector, these components in vector form? Along x-axis, you know, along x-axis, the unit vector along x-axis is I cap, you know. Okay, along this x-axis, the component of this given vector r bar is x. Now, what is the component of this vector in vector form along x-axis? How much means already yesterday I wrote, I think, x into I cap. Similarly, along y-axis, the displacement of the same particle along y-axis is equal to y in magnitude. In vector form, if you want to write, then that is equal to y into I cap. Already I said a bar is equal to n cap is equal to a bar by a. Then a bar is equal to a into n cap. That means magnitude of that vector into unit vector along the direction. The product of these two gives the given vector. So magnitude of this displacement along this direction is equal to x. In this direction, unit vector is I. Therefore, the vector, the component in vector form, component x component of this vector along this x-axis in vector form is equal to x into I cap. Similarly, along y-axis, y into j cap. y into j cap. Okay. Now here this length is AP is same as OB, no? That's why it is also equal to y. If you want to write this side also in vector form, whatever the direction of arrow mark, here also you take the direction of arrow mark in the same direction. Then the length of this arrow mark, then length of this vector and length of this vector both are same. Directions are also same. That's why this becomes equal vector to this one, no? That's why if it is yj cap, then it is also equal to yj cap. Now there are two vectors, OA bar. What is OA bar? OA bar is equal to xi cap. Next, OB bar is equal to, sorry, OB, not OB, AP bar. AP bar is equal to, of course, OB bar, AP bar both are equal vectors. That's why OB bar is equal to AP bar. That is equal to y into j cap. Okay. Here, from this diagram, what about the x value? The magnitude of this position vector r bar is represented with simply small r. Okay, now what is the x component of this vector in this direction? That means x. What is x value in terms of small r? So from this right angle triangle, you take cos alpha. Cos alpha is equal to adjacent means x by hypotenuse means the length of this position vector is equal to r. That's why r implies x is equal to r cos alpha. So the x component of this vector is equal to magnitude of this vector into cosine of angle made by this vector with this x-axis alpha. Okay, that's cos alpha. Therefore, x is equal to r cos alpha. Similarly, cos beta is equal to in this right angle triangle, cos beta is equal to adjacent by hypotenuse means y by r. So y by r implies y is equal to r cos beta. We can write. Suppose if you want to express this beta also in terms of alpha, then we can write from the diagram alpha plus beta is equal to 90, no? Alpha plus beta is equal to 90, or beta is equal to 90 degree minus alpha. You substitute beta value as 90 minus alpha in this y. Therefore, y is equal to r into cos 90 minus alpha. What about 90 minus alpha? Cos 90 minus alpha means it is in first quadrant only. In first quadrant, cosine function is positive. That's why as it is 90 is there, cos 90 minus alpha is equal to sin alpha. Therefore, r sin alpha. So this is called, here you see, if this is the magnitude of position vector r, then their x component is equal to r into cos alpha. Their y component is equal to r into sin alpha. Or we can write r cos beta also. Okay, so these are the x and y components. Now, from vector addition rule, can we add AP bar to OA bar? Because we need this R bar. We need this R bar. From the diagram, you see, this here the initial point of this vector, that means A. Final point of this vector, that is also A. Both are coincided. That's why this yj cap can be added to OA bar, this xi cap. When you add these two, the resultant is the line resultant can be obtained by line joining the initial point of the first vector and final point of the second vector. That means this one. This gives the resultant of these two. So from the diagram, from right angled triangle OAP, OP bar is equal to, you see, OP bar is equal to OA bar plus AP bar, we can write now. OA bar plus AP bar, we can write now. Okay, are you following? OP bar is equal to OA bar plus AP bar, because this vector can be added to this one, because the initial point of this AP bar or yj cap is A. Final point of this OA bar or xi cap is A. Both are coincided. That's why this can be added to this one. So this plus this, that means OA bar plus AP bar is equal to OP bar. I written the same. Okay. Now, now OP bar means OP bar is equal to R bar, no? So as it is in vector form, we have to write in vector form only. If it is modulus of OP bar means we have to write R. So OP bar is equal to R bar, which is equal to OA bar. OA bar is equal to xi cap, no? Xi cap plus AP bar means yj cap. So this is the position vector in a plane. It is the position vector of this point P with respect to origin in xy plane. As this point lies in xy plane, it is having only two coordinates, x coordinate and y coordinate. If the same point lies in space, then that point P is having three coordinates, x, y, z coordinates. In such case, the position vector can be represented as xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. Okay. Next, what is the magnitude of this here? What about x? What about x? That is the x component of this vector or horizontal component of this vector. Horizontal component means along this direction, component of this vector means r cos alpha. So where x is equal to r cos alpha. Already I wrote here. Already we have written. Okay. Next, similarly, what is y? That is the vertical component of this vector. Vertical component y is equal to r sin alpha, we can write, or r cos beta. You see here, r cos beta, or we can write r sin alpha also. Suppose if you want to express in terms of alpha only one of the angles will be given, alpha is given. Then what is this component y means? That is equal to r sin alpha. Okay, that's why x value, y value we know. Now, what is the magnitude of this position vector? That means what is the r value? In this right angle triangle, you apply the Pythagoras principle. So from the diagram, this OP square, you apply the Pythagoras principle. OP square is equal to OA square plus AP square, no? OP square means R square is equal to OA square means OA is equal to X only. So X component square plus AP means Y component square. R is equal to square root of X square plus Y square. This is the formula for magnitude of this vector. That is the formula for magnitude of that vector, magnitude of this position vector. So magnitude of position vector is equal to square root of X component square plus Y component square. Then the position vector is equal to X component into I cap plus Y component into J cap. So you remember this one. Okay. So if point P lies in space, then position vector of P, with respect to origin, r bar is equal to, how we can write, just like if the point P lies in a plane, then position vector is equal to xi cap plus yj cap. If it lies in space, then this point P is having three coordinates, x, y, z coordinates. In such case, very good. In such case, how we can write the position vector? R bar is equal to, just like here, xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. Okay, then what is the magnitude of this position vector now? That is equal to r, which is equal to, here, if any point P lies in a space with coordinates x, y, z, then what is the distance of that point from the origin? In mathematics, already you know, square root of x square plus y square plus z square, no? So here also same. How we got the formula here? Here also we can obtain the same. So the magnitude of this position vector r is equal to square root of x component square plus y component square plus z component square. This is the magnitude of the position vector. If any vector is given in this form, what is the magnitude means? We have to write square root of x component square plus y component square plus z component square. We can write like that. Okay. Now, in this case, what about the directional cosines? Here, directional cosines means cosine of the angle made by this vector with x-axis. That means cos alpha. That is called directional cosine. Similarly, if the angle made by this vector with y-axis beta, then cos beta is called directional cosine. Directional cosine means, if you know the directional cosine, we know what is the angle made by this given vector with x-axis, with y-axis, with z-axis also. Suppose if here, one example I will say, you remember this formula. Cos alpha means x component of that vector by magnitude of that vector. Magnitude of that vector means, suppose if this given vector is xi cap plus yj cap, then their magnitude is equal to this one. If the given position vector is like this, then their magnitude is equal to square root of x square plus y square plus z square. Here, angle made by this position vector with y-axis beta, then directional cosine cos beta is equal to y by r. Okay, similarly, cos gamma, if this point lies in a space, then this vector, position vector makes an angle with z-axis also. Then directional cosine cos gamma is equal to z by r. In such a way we can write. Okay, I will draw the diagram. When the point P lies in a space, how the diagram will be, I will draw. Here you see. X-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and it is the origin. One point lies in a space. The point P lies in a space. That's why it is having x coordinate, y coordinate, and z coordinate. Okay. The position vector of point P with respect to origin means you join this origin and this point. So this is the position vector r bar. Position vector of point P with respect to origin. Okay. Suppose the angle made by this vector, with x-axis is alpha, with y-axis is beta, with z-axis is say gamma. Then directional cosines are cos alpha is equal to, already whenever it is in xy plane, already I said same type formulas you will get here. Cos alpha is equal to here the position vector, first you write position vector r bar is equal to xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap, already I said. Now directional cosine cos alpha is equal to x component by magnitude of this entire vector. Magnitude of entire vector is r. What is the magnitude of that vector? R is equal to square root of x square plus y square plus z square, no? Okay. Therefore, cos alpha is equal to x by r. This is one directional cosine. Similarly, sometimes it may be represented with L also. Cos beta, that means cos of angle made by this vector with y-axis. That is called directional, one more directional cosine. Okay, which is equal to the y component of this vector means y by r. Next, another directional cosine. That means cos of angle made by this vector with positive z-axis, which is equal to z component by the magnitude of the entire given vector. This is represented with m. This directional cosine is represented with m. This directional cosine is represented with n. So these are called directional cosines. These are called directional cosines. So cos alpha is equal to x component by their magnitude of the vector. Cos beta is equal to y component by magnitude of the vector. Cos gamma is equal to z component by magnitude of that vector. In this way, we can have the directional cosines also. Here, why these are called directional cosines? That means whenever the cosine of angle made by this vector, with x-axis is known, then we know the direction along which this vector lies. That means if you know cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma, we know the direction of that vector. That's why as these cosine functions gives the direction of the given vector to us, that's why they are called directional cosines. Okay. Now, what about the sum of the squares of directional cosines? Sum of the squares of directional cosines. Next, sum of the squares of directional cosines is equal to how much? The sum of the squares of directional cosines means one directional cosine is cos alpha. Square means cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma. That is equal to. What about cos alpha? Cos alpha is equal to x by r. That's why cos square alpha means x square by r square plus cos square beta means y square by r square. Cos square gamma means z square by r square. Okay. Therefore, this is equal to, you take LCM, r square. So here remaining is x square plus y square plus z square. But you know, magnitude of the given vector or given position vector r is equal to square root of x square plus y square plus z square. No, you take r, you square on both sides, then r square is equal to simply x square plus y square plus z square. Hence, instead of x square plus y square plus z square, we can write r square. No, so now you write r square by r square. That is equal to 1. Therefore, sum of the squares of directional cosines means cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is equal to how much? Cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is equal to 1. So sum of the squares of directional cosines is equal to 1. Once in G mains, this question was asked. If alpha, beta, gamma are the angles made by the given vector with x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis, then sum of the squares of their directional cosines is dash 1, 2, 0, like that it is mentioned. So answer is 1. Okay. Next, if alpha, beta, gamma are the angles made by the given vector with x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis, then what about the sum of the squares of sine of angles made by the given vector with x, y, z axis? That means sine square alpha plus sine square beta plus sine square gamma. That is equal to how much? They may ask. Okay, very good. 2. Because here you say cos square alpha means we can write minus 1 minus sine square alpha we can write now, plus cos square beta means 1 minus sine square beta. Cos square gamma means 1 minus sine square gamma is equal to 1. Okay, you write all, you bring all sine square alpha, sine square beta, sine square gamma to right, and you bring this 1 to left. Of course, here 1 cancel. Then when you bring this sine square alpha, sine square beta, sine square gamma to right, then you will have sine square alpha, sine square beta plus sine square gamma. This is equal to, it is the right side term. On left side only 1 plus 1, 2 is there. That's why 2. That's why the sum of the squares of sines of angles made by the given vector with the x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis is equal to 2. So this is also important one. Okay, so these are about directional cosines. Okay. Now, very important topic in this chapter. Most of the questions generally they ask from that concept. That is the in laws of vector addition, one law of vector addition. That is the parallelogram law of vector addition. Already resolution of vectors are completed. Okay. Here we have to discuss one more example. Here, suppose in general, we are given one vector. In general, we are given one vector. Example. Or note point, you write, note point. Here, if A bar, that means one vector, we can write any symbol, R bar, A bar, like that. Okay, if A bar is a vector, which is equal to xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap, we can write like this, or ax into I cap plus ay into j cap plus az into k cap. Ax, ay, az are the magnitudes of components of this vector along x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So we can say like that. Okay. Now, what is the magnitude of this vector? Magnitude of that vector means modulus of a bar. Okay, you write like this. Okay, you write like this. In different forms also, we have to write. If a bar is equal to ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap, one vector is given. Then what is the magnitude of a bar? Magnitude of a bar is represented with modulus of a bar. Okay, that can be simply written as a, which is equal to how much? Square root of magnitude of given vector a is equal to, or modulus of a bar is equal to, square root of x component square plus y component square plus z component square. Okay, x component square plus y component square plus z component square. Square root of x component square means ax square, y component square means ay square, plus z component square means az square. Okay, here this is the magnitude of given vector. Now, magnitude of a bar in xy plane, they may ask magnitude of a bar in xy plane, that is say axy is equal to how much? Magnitude of that vector is given like this in space, because 3 coordinates are there, x component, y component, z component, all are there. That's why it is in space. Okay, now magnitude of entire vector means this one, but here they ask what is the magnitude of a bar in xy plane. They ask in xy plane means we have to take only 2 components, x component and y component only. That is equal to, in xy plane, what is the magnitude of this vector? Or in magnitude of a bar in xy plane or component of a bar in xy plane. Component of a bar in xy plane. Both are same. Okay. Axy is equal to square root of x component square plus y component square simply. Similarly, component of magnitude are components of a bar, that means given vector in yz plane. In yz plane means ayz, that is equal to how much? In yz plane, what is the magnitude of this component of this vector a bar in yz plane? They asked. In yz plane, how we can write? Square root of y component square, because in yz plane, so y component square plus z component square. Similarly, magnitude or component of components of a bar in zx plane. Azx is equal to square root of az square, z component square plus x component square. In this way, we can find the magnitudes of the given vector only in xy plane, yz plane, zx plane. Or in the space, what is the magnitude of that vector means square root of ax square plus ay square plus az square. Then what about the directional cosines for this? Cos alpha is equal to. What is the directional cosine for this? Cos alpha is equal to. Cos alpha is equal to. Come on, you respond in chat box. Very good. Ax by a. So here directional cosines cos alpha is equal to x component. In this given equation, given vector x component is ax by magnitude of entire vector is a. Similarly, the cos beta is equal to ay by a. Cos gamma is equal to az by a. Okay. So these are the directional cosines and it is the formula. One example I will discuss. Example here. Suppose a bar is given as 4i cap plus 3j cap. 4i cap plus 3j cap. Is this vector, given vector lies in a plane or space? Is this given vector lies in a plane or space? It is having only two coordinates, not only I cap, j cap. They may give j cap, k cap, or k cap, I cap. That may be given in that form. If only two components are there, x component, y component, or y, z, x like that, then we can say that it lies in plane. Here as x and y components are there, because I cap is the unit vector lies along x axis. That's why it is x component. Similarly, it is y component. That's why this vector lies in a plane. Here they asked, what is the magnitude of this vector and what is the direction of this vector? Magnitude of this vector means directly modulus of a bar. That means a, which is equal to square root of x component square plus y component square. This is equal to x component square means square root of 4 square plus 3 square. That is equal to 5, 16 plus 9, 25 under root. 25 under root means 5. That's why the magnitude of this vector is equal to 5. Now, what is the angle made by, what is the direction of this vector? They asked. Direction of this vector means what is the angle made by that vector with x-axis or y-axis? We have to write. Generally, if they do not mention anything, then we have to find the angle made by that vector with positive x-axis only. If it is not mentioned properly, unless the direction with which axis is not mentioned properly, we always measure the angle made by that vector with positive x-axis only. Okay. Here, first of all, in which quadrant this vector lies? Of course, directly we can do cos alpha is equal to x component by magnitude of that vector. We can write directly. In other words, in which quadrant this vector lies? In xy plane, you see x component positive, y component positive means definitely the point lies here in xy plane in first quadrant. That's why the given vector lies in first quadrant. The given vector a bar lies in first quadrant. Angle made by this vector with positive x-axis is alpha. Then cos alpha is equal to x component by a. X component means 4 by magnitude of that vector a means 5. 4 by 5. So cos alpha is equal to 4 by 5 or alpha is equal to If cos alpha is 4 by 5, then alpha is equal to what is the angle? 90 degree. Dinesh, is it 90? 37 degree. Very good. 37 degree. Therefore, here we got positive plus value. Positive plus 37. That means angle made by this vector with positive x-axis in anti-clockwise direction by 37 degree. Angle made by that vector from x-axis, from positive x-axis in anti-clockwise direction. That angle made with the positive x-axis in anti-clockwise direction is represented with a positive sign. Sometimes, suppose if y component is negative, if y component is negative means that vector lies in this direction. You will get the value same, but the angle made by this vector with the positive x-axis in clockwise direction is 37. Okay, that value is represented with minus 37, like minus 37. Okay, now in this way we can find, if you know the angle, then we can say the given vector lies along this direction by making an angle 37 degree with positive x-axis. No, that means it gives indirectly the direction. No, that's why if they ask what is the magnitude and direction, means we have to find like this. Okay, this is very, very important for IP also. Now we are going to discuss very, very important law of vector addition, parallelogram law of vector addition. Very, very, very important. Parallelogram law of vector addition. Suppose if you want to add one vector to the other, directly we added a bar plus b bar or p bar plus q bar, like that. Okay, here with the help of the parallelogram law of vector addition also we can add. Of course the result is same, you will get the same only. Okay, very, very important topic in this chapter, parallelogram law of vector addition. In this chapter actually we are having parallelogram law of vector addition, dot product, cross product. These three are very, very important in this chapter. Most of the problems, about 70% of problems based on these 3 points only, these 3 concepts only. Okay, now here already while defining the definition of the vector, I said the physical quantity which is having magnitude as well as direction and which obeys laws of vector addition, such quantity is called vector. I said laws of vector addition I mentioned. No, later I will explain. I said like that. Okay, in laws of vector addition, there are, in our syllabus we are having 3 laws of vector addition, parallelogram law of vector addition, triangle law of vector addition, polygon law of vector addition also there. Okay, first one, parallelogram law of vector addition, very, very important. Parallelogram law of vector addition. Parallelogram law of vector addition. Suppose you see at a point or a particle possess simultaneously 2 velocities. Is it possible to have the 2 velocities simultaneously by the particle? Is it possible to have the 2 velocities simultaneously by the particle? Suppose when a particle move in a plane, that is having x component and y component also. That's why that is having x component of velocity, y component of velocity also. Hence, the given particle can have the velocities in different directions simultaneously. Similarly, different accelerations along to different directions simultaneously. The particle may experience it by 2 forces in different directions simultaneously. Then what is the net force? For example, I will say one example here. This is one particle. One force acts on the particle in this direction, another force acts on the particle in this direction simultaneously. That means this particle experiences 2 forces simultaneously in different directions. In which direction the particle will move? In which direction the particle will move? The particle neither move along F1 direction nor move along F2 direction, isn't it? Suppose by means of a rope, by means of a thread, this particle is pulled in this direction and in this direction simultaneously. Then the particle cannot move along this direction or along this direction. The resultant of these 2 forces lies somewhere here. That means the particle will move along the straight line path in middle between these 2. That's why in this direction they move. So in which direction the particle will move, even 2 forces applied like this, in which direction the particle move, that is the direction of the resultant force F. You can imagine, you can observe also. You take a body or you take a brick. Okay, two persons simultaneously pull with different forces in different directions. Then the brick will move in another direction. In which direction the brick will move, that is the direction of the resultant force acts on that body. Okay, this is the resultant force of these two. How we can find the resultant of these two? That gives the answer by this parallelogram law of vector addition. I think you got the idea of use of the parallelogram law of vector addition. Or this parallelogram law of vector addition gives the resultant of these two vectors. Resultant of these two vectors. Okay, resultant of this F1 bar and F2 bar. That is equal to F bar. Okay, so what is the magnitude of this resultant vector and along which direction this resultant vector lies? Everything will be discussed in parallelogram law of vector addition. I think you could understand what is the importance of the parallelogram law of vector addition. Okay, right. Now we will discuss this one. Suppose two vectors simultaneously, a particle experiences two vectors p bar and q bar in different directions with angle between them is theta. Simultaneously, the particle experiences two vectors, means these may be velocities, forces, accelerations, whatever it may be. Simultaneously, the particle experiences two vectors or two velocities in different directions. In order to find the resultant of these two vectors, okay, we use the parallelogram law of vector addition. So to use the parallelogram law of vector addition, first you choose a point O, and from that point O, you draw a vector parallel to this given vector p bar. So this is the vector parallel to given vector p bar. It is a OA. So the given vector is represented like this. This given vector is represented like this. Okay, p bar. Next, you represent here to find the resultant of these two. This must be added to this one. To add this vector to this one, the initial point of this vector must be coincident with the final point of this vector. No, here actually it is in this direction, parallel to this vector. Parallel to this vector, just you draw the same vector here. The length of this vector is same as this one, and these two are parallel to each other and having same direction. That's why it is equal vector of this one. No, that's why this can be represented with the q bar. It is say B. Okay, now can we add q bar to p bar or not? Can we add q bar to p bar? Can we add q bar to p bar? Okay, here the initial point of q bar, final point of p bar, both are coincident. That's why we can add q bar to p bar. So when you add q bar to p bar, the resultant of these two is given by the line joining the initial point of the first vector and final point of the second vector, means this one. This is equal to the addition of these two vectors. That is called resultant of these two vectors. That is represented with r bar. So from the diagram you say r bar is equal to OA bar plus AB bar. OA bar means P bar plus AB bar means Q bar. Okay. So from the diagram, according to, at first I said laws of vector addition. Addition rule. How we can add? To add this vector to this one, initial point of this vector coincides with the final point of this vector, already coincided. When you add this one to this one, then the resultant of these two is equal to OB bar is equal to, from the diagram, OB bar is equal to tell me, OB bar is equal to OA bar plus AB bar. OA bar plus AB bar. Okay. Or in other words, here this is, it is one way we can find the magnitude, everything. This is one way to express the parallelogram law of vector addition. Another one is by taking the same diagram, we can explain also. So we will see that also. Here I will draw some large diagram. Here you see same diagram I will draw. Here this is P bar. One vector acts on the particle in this direction. Another vector acts on the particle in this direction. That is a q bar. Okay. it is say OA, it is say OB. Okay, now according to parallelogram law of vector addition, when a particle experiences simultaneously two vectors, okay, then we have to take these two sides as the adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn from a point. Parallelogram, that means parallel to this line, you draw one more line here. Parallel to this line, you draw one more line here. Now it is the parallelogram now. Whatever the two vectors act on a particle simultaneously, you take those two vectors as the adjacent sides of a parallelogram. These two are the adjacent sides of this parallelogram now. So you take these two sides as the adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn from a point, because from the same point we have taken these two vectors drawn from a point. Then the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same point. Diagram of the parallelogram passing through diagonal of the parallelogram is this is the diagonal, this is also the diagonal. Diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same point means this is the diagonal passing through the same point. This diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same point gives the resultant of these two, both in magnitude and direction. That means the resultant of these two vectors suppose lies in this direction. Whatever the magnitude of that resultant vector, this diagonal is given magnitude, and whatever the direction means, this resultant vector makes certain angle with p bar. So here from this parallelogram also we will get the same angle here. That's why the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same point gives the resultant of these two vectors p bar and q bar, both in magnitude and direction. This is the statement of the parallelogram law of vector addition. So statement. So what is the statement means? When two vectors act on a particle simultaneously, they are represented both in magnitude and direction as the adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn from a point. Then the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same point gives the resultant of those two vectors both in magnitude and direction. That is the statement of the parallelogram law of vector addition. Okay. Here the angle between the two vectors p bar and q bar is say theta. It is the result. It is diagonal gives resultant of these two I said. That's why it is represented with r bar. Suppose the resultant vector makes angle alpha with the p bar. Then, if we know this alpha, then we know the direction of the resultant vector. No, direction of the resultant vector is known. No, okay. That's why our aim is we have to find the magnitude of this vector, resultant vector, and the direction of the resultant vector. That is our aim. Okay. Now, for that, to find the magnitude of the resultant vector first. Magnitude of resultant vector r bar. Magnitude of resultant vector means modulus of r bar, r, simply r. We have to derive the formula for this. You see here from the diagram, here OB bar is equal to q bar. No, this is a C. AC and OB, because it is a parallelogram, these two sides are parallel to each other. Length of this side and this side both are same. No, suppose if you take the arrow mark in this direction here, then the magnitude of this side and this side both are same. Directions are also same. That's why this can be called as the equal vector of this q bar. No, as it is q bar, this can be written as q bar. It is q bar. Okay. To find the magnitude of this one, you extend this p bar in this direction, and from this point C, you draw a perpendicular line. Most of the students, while deriving this formula, they draw the diagram perfectly. But while writing in sentence, here in sentence they wrote correctly. A perpendicular line is drawn from C onto OA line. They mentioned they written properly. But while drawing the diagram, they draw like this. Is it perpendicular? Is it normal drawn to onto this line? No. Here, when you draw the perpendicular line from C onto OA line, definitely this must be 90. In such a way, you have to draw the line. You remember that point. Okay. What is our doubt, Karthik? How do they type man difficulty level? What is your doubt? What is Karthik? What is your doubt? Karthik, what is your doubt? You tell me. Okay. Here, when two vectors acts on a particle simultaneously at a point, then to obtain the resultant of these two vectors, okay, you construct the parallelogram by taking these two vectors as the adjacent sides of a parallelogram. This is actually the parallelogram constructed. These two are adjacent sides, no? That two vectors acts on a particle simultaneously are represented with the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram taken from the same point. Then the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same point gives the resultant of these two vectors, both in magnitude and direction. That means whatever the magnitude of resultant of these two vectors, that is given by this length, this diagonal. Direction also given by this only, that is equal to alpha. Okay. Now to find the magnitude of this resultant vector, you draw a perpendicular line from point C onto this OA line. OA line is extended up to D. Okay. And perpendicular line is drawn from C onto OA line up to D. Now you see from the diagram, from ODC right angle triangle. Here one more thing, you see from OAC triangle. From OAC triangle, can we add Q bar to P bar? You tell me. Can we add Q bar to P bar? Can we add Q bar to P bar? Come on, immediately you respond in chat box. Okay, right. Q bar can be added to P bar because the initial point of Q bar, final point of P bar, both are coincident. That's why we can add them. When you add these two, the resultant of these two is given by the line joining the initial point of the first vector here and the final point of the second vector. That means OC. That's why from the triangle OAC, OC bar is equal to OA bar plus AC bar, no? OA bar plus AC bar. At the beginning only I said this concept. OC bar means R bar. OA bar means P bar plus AC bar means Q bar. This is equation 1. It's very, very important. If they ask to find the resultant of two vectors, if the two vectors are given in vector form and asked to find what is the resultant of two vectors, means simply a vector sum of the two vectors. Vector sum means P bar plus Q bar, not P plus Q. P plus Q means that is the sum of the magnitudes. But we have to write the vector sum of the two vectors that gives the resultant of those two vectors. Suppose there are three vectors to be added, P bar, Q bar and R bar. What is the resultant of those three vectors means P bar plus Q bar plus R bar is the resultant of those two vectors. If four are there, vector sum of all the given vectors gives the resultant of those two vectors according to this formula. Okay, now we have to find the magnitude of this. Magnitude of this one means modulus of R bar, that is equal to simply R, which is equal to modulus of R bar means P bar plus Q bar. So modulus of P bar plus Q bar we have to find. That is our aim. To find the modulus of P bar plus Q bar or modulus of R bar, already we extended this line and we drawn a perpendicular line onto this line. Now we have a right angle triangle ODC. So from right angle triangle ODC, OC square is equal to OD square plus DC square. Okay, from the right angle triangle, diagonal square is equal to sum of the squares of adjacent sides. That means we applied the Pythagoras principle. Okay, OD square. This is equal to OD means we can write OA plus AD, no? OD means we can write OA plus AD. Whole square is there plus DC square. You expand this one, A plus B whole square. You expand OA square plus AD square plus 2 into OA into AD plus DC square. But from the diagram you see, from the diagram, AD square plus DC square is equal to AC square, no? It is right angle triangle. AD square plus DC square is equal to AC square, no? Since AC square is equal to AD square plus DC square. You see, in this right angle triangle, you see the diagram, all of it. AD square plus DC square is equal to AC square, no? That's why instead of AD square plus DC square, we can write AC square. Therefore, OA square plus AD square plus DC square can be written as AC square plus 2 into OA into AD. This is OC square. Okay. What about AD? Here, OC means OC is the magnitude of this resultant vector, that is equal to simply R. We know OC is equal to R. OA is equal to magnitude of this vector because it is not OA bar. OA means magnitude of this OA bar, that is equal to simply P. Modulus of P bar means P only, no? Similarly, AC means magnitude of this vector, that is Q. OA is known. AD we doesn't know. So we have to find AD. Here you see these two are parallel sides in parallelogram. Okay, both lines are intersected by this line. That's why if it is theta, then this is also equal to theta, no? Now in this right angle triangle, as we have to find AD value, we take cos theta. Cos theta is equal to, from this is say equation 2, from right angle triangle ADC, from the right angle triangle ADC, cos theta is equal to AD by AC, no? Cos theta is equal to AD by AC, implies AD is equal to AC cos theta. Okay, instead of AD here you substitute AC cos theta. Therefore, from 2, OC square is equal to OA square plus AC square plus 2 into OA into AD means AC cos theta. AC cos theta. So everyone is known. Here OC is equal to, from the diagram, OC bar means R bar. OC means magnitude of R bar, that is equal to R only, no? So OC is equal to R. Similarly, OA is equal to magnitude of this P bar means P. AC means magnitude of this Q bar means Q. Now we substitute these values here. Therefore, OC means R, square is there. So R square is equal to OA means P square plus AC means Q square plus 2 into OA means P, AC means Q into cos theta. R is equal to square root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. So this is the formula for magnitude of the resultant of two vectors. Suppose if you are given the two vectors acts on a particle simultaneously whose magnitudes are P and Q and acts on a particle at an angle theta, then what is the formula for, what is the value of magnitude of the two vectors? What is the formula for magnitude of the resultant of those two vectors, they may ask. Then R is equal to square root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. This is the formula for magnitude of the resultant. What is the direction of the resultant? Direction of the resultant means, suppose the resultant vector R bar makes an angle alpha with P bar, then what is alpha? We have to find. Okay. So you remember this formula. Next, in this only, direction of resultant. Direction of resultant. Direction of resultant means angle made by resultant vector with P bar, alpha, we have to find. If you know alpha, direction is known. So to find alpha value, from this right angle triangle, you take tan alpha. Tan alpha is equal to, opposite side means DC by adjacent means OD. DC, okay, you write DC only. By OD means we can write OA plus AD, no? Already AD means we know AC cos theta. Here AD is equal to AC cos theta, we know. But what about DC? From the same diagram, from the same right angle triangle, you see DC we need sin theta is equal to, opposite means DC by hypotenuse means AC. So that implies DC is equal to AC sin theta. That implies DC is equal to AC sin theta. Now you substitute these values in this equation. Therefore, tan alpha is equal to, DC means AC sin theta by OA plus, because AC value is directly Q, OA value is equal to P, we know, plus AD means AD is equal to AC, AD is equal to AC cos theta. AD is equal to AC cos theta. Okay, already we know AC means, already we written previously, AC is equal to Q. So Q sin theta by OA means P plus AC means Q cos theta. So tan alpha is equal to this one, or alpha is equal to tan inverse of, we can write like this, no, sin theta by P plus Q cos theta. The magnitude of resultant R is equal to square root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. So these are the formula for magnitude of the resultant and direction of the resultant. Why it is called direction of the resultant means the resultant vector makes an angle alpha with P bar. If you know this angle, then we can say with P bar, by making an angle alpha, the resultant vector lies in this direction. We can say no. So if you know alpha value, then we know the direction. That's why it is the direction of the resultant vector and it is the magnitude of the resultant vector. So in this way, we can derive the formulas for magnitude and direction. Now, in this case, up by 9:15, I will complete the class. Now the time is 9:06. Just 10 minutes more. Okay. Now, note points. First one, when two vectors P bar and Q bar act on a particle simultaneously along the same direction. P bar and Q bar, both vectors act on a particle simultaneously along the same direction. Then what is the angle between P bar and Q bar? What is the angle between P bar and Q bar? What is the angle between P bar and Q bar? 0, because P bar, Q bar both lies in the same direction. No? That's why angle between the two vectors P bar and Q bar in this formula is theta. That's why theta is equal to 0 degree. Therefore, what is the magnitude of resultant R? R is equal to square root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. Theta means 0. Cos 0, 1. That's why square root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ. This is just like A square plus B square plus 2AB. So A plus B whole square we can write. A plus B whole square under root. That means P plus Q whole square under root. Therefore, R is equal to P plus Q. No? Already we know when a body is pulled by two persons with forces 5 Newton and 10 Newton in the same direction, what is the resultant force? When two persons pulls the body in the same direction with forces 5 and 10 along the same direction, what is the resultant force? Simply 10 plus 5 we will write, no? The same you will get, no? Same we got. In this same we got. That means that is here in general we know, but theoretically according to this parallelogram law of vector addition, we can already we proved. Suppose if two vectors or two forces acts on a body simultaneously exact in opposite direction, 10 and 5 Newton forces acts on the body exact in opposite direction. What is the net force means? 10 minus 5. 5 we will say generally. Okay, if the two forces acts on a particle simultaneously along the same direction or opposite in direction, we know what is the resultant force. If two forces acts on a particle simultaneously in different directions, not 0, not 180, in such case, can we say directly? No. In such cases, we need this parallelogram law of vector addition. I think you could understand what is the when we can use this parallelogram law of vector addition. I think we know. Now we can understand. Nikhil Sai, I think you can understand now. If the two forces act on a particle simultaneously lies along the same direction, then what is the resultant force? Resultant force means simply we add them. If they are in opposite direction, simply we will subtract to obtain the resultant force. If two forces act on a body in different directions, then we cannot say directly what is the resultant force. In such cases, we need the parallelogram law of vector addition, because this theta is the angle between the two forces or two vectors acts. We know this theta. Okay, that's why by using this formula, we can find the resultant of any two vectors. Okay, next. In this case, what is the direction of the resultant? Means alpha. From tan alpha is equal to, you see, Q into sin theta. Theta means 0. 0 sin 0, 0. 0 by something 0. So we will get 0, no? Q sin 0 by P P plus Q cos 0. Whatever the denominator value, as it is 0, you will get tan alpha is equal to 0. Tan alpha 0 means alpha is equal to 0 degree, no? That means the resultant vector also lies along the same direction. The resultant of these two also lies along the same direction. Similarly, if two vectors acts on a particle exactly in opposite direction, P bar and Q bar exactly acts in opposite direction, then angle between the two vectors is equal to theta is equal to 180 degree. Theta is equal to 180 degree. Okay, now what is the magnitude of resultant? R is equal to square root of P square plus Q square plus 2 PQ cos theta means 180. Cos 180 minus 1, no? Therefore, P square plus Q square plus 2 PQ plus 2 PQ into cos theta means minus 1. Cos 180 means minus 1. Square root of P square plus Q square minus 2 PQ. This can be written as square root of P minus Q whole square or Q minus P whole square, isn't it? Here we can write this as P minus Q whole square or Q minus P whole square also. If P is greater in magnitude, then P minus Q whole square we have to write. If Q is greater, then Q minus P whole square we have to write. Then R is equal to P minus Q or Q minus P. Okay, this is the formula for magnitude. In this case, what is the direction of resultant? Here you substitute like this only. In that formula, Q sin theta by P plus Q cos theta. Sin theta means sin 180. Here 180 no theta. Sin 180 is 0 only. That's why here also you will get 0 only. Alpha is equal to 0 degree. Alpha is equal to 0 degree means, suppose if magnitude of P is greater than magnitude of Q, then the resultant of these two lies in this direction, that is R. Angle made by this R with P bar is equal to 0. Angle made by the resultant vector with P bar is equal to, as it lies in the same direction, it is 0. Okay. Next, suppose the two vectors act on a particle exactly at right angles to each other, or orthogonal to each other, or perpendicular to each other. In this case, angle between the two vectors is 90 degree, no? In this case, what is the formula for magnitude of the resultant? Directly you write square root of P square plus Q square plus 2 PQ cos theta. Theta means 90. Cos 90 is 0. That's why this term becomes 0. Therefore, square root of P square plus Q square you will get. Next, what is the direction of the resultant? Alpha. Alpha is equal to, or tan alpha. You write tan alpha is equal to tan alpha is equal to Q sin theta. Sin theta means sin 90 by P plus Q cos 90. Sin 91, so Q, cos 90 is 0, so by P. So tan alpha is equal to Q by P, or alpha is equal to tan inverse of Q by P. This is the direction of the resultant. That means the resultant of these two must lie in between these two only along some direction, so that it makes an angle alpha with P bar, that is equal to this one, tan inverse Q by P. Okay. Last 1 minute. If P bar, magnitude of P bar and Q bar both are equal, then what about R? R is equal to square root of P square plus Q square plus 2 PQ cos theta, no? If the magnitude of P bar and Q bar both are equal, means P is equal to Q, or modulus of P bar is equal to modulus of Q bar. Okay. This is equal to square root of, instead of PQ, you write P only, because both are equal, no? So P square plus 2 into P into cos theta. So this is called square root of 2P square plus 2P square cos theta. You take 2P square common. When you take 2P square common, here 1 plus here only cos theta. How we can write 1 plus cos theta? How we can write 1 plus cos 2 theta, cos theta? 2 cos square theta by 2 we can write now. 1 plus cos theta can be written as 2 cos square theta by 2 we can write. Therefore, 2 into 2, 4. When you write outside the root, then 2. P square under root means P. Cos square means cos theta by 2. So 2P cos theta by 2 is the formula for magnitude of the resultant. When two vectors having same magnitude acts on a particle simultaneously with an angle theta between them, then magnitude of the resultant R is equal to 2p cos theta by 2. And what is the direction of resultant in this case? Tan alpha is equal to q sin theta by p plus q cos theta. As p, q both are equal, you write q sin theta by, okay, instead of q also you write p only, p by p plus q means p sin p cos theta. Therefore, this is equal to p sin theta. Sin theta can p sin theta by, here p you take common, 1 plus cos theta. So here p cancel. Sin theta can be written as 2 sin theta by 2 cos theta by 2 by 1 plus cos theta can be written as 2 cos square theta by 2. 2 cancel, cos theta square cancel. Therefore, sin theta by 2 by cos theta by 2 means tan theta by 2. So tan alpha is equal to tan theta by 2. So alpha is equal to theta by 2. That means in this case, here in this case, whenever p, q both are equal, if p and q both are equal, then the angle made by resultant vector of these two lies exactly along the bisector. Bisector means, suppose the angle between, sorry, here when two vectors acts at an angle theta between them, both are equal in magnitude, p is equal to q, here it is p, angle between them is theta, then resultant of these two lies exactly along the angular bisector. That means angle made by resultant vector with alpha with p is equal to theta by 2. That means exactly along angular bisector it lies. Okay. Tomorrow evening I will take class from 4 o'clock, 4 to 5 I will take. Okay. Today I will take from 4 to 5 because we had to do some problems. Right now, all of you must attend the class. That is very, very important. In this chapter, this parallelogram law of factorization is very, very important. Okay. Today evening at 4 o'clock, you will be having class in physics. Okay. Right. Have a nice day. I'm signing out because you take rest for 15 minutes and then you go to you attend another class.